Thought I'd read to you a little bit today from my most recent book. It's called The Heresy of Heresies, A Defense of Christian Common Sense Realism. It's published in 2021. I can't remember when it was published. 2021 with Whip and Stock Cascade Press. And I'm just going to read the introduction to you. And if you like it, you can go check out the book. You can get it on Amazon, or you can, find it in your library, maybe. There are other places to find books, too. Those are two good sources. All right. So, this book defends that which is thought to be heretical, the validity of common sense experience about the nature of reality and its implications for a flourishing human life found within the Christian tradition. It's a response to what George Orwell anticipated in 1984 when he said, quote, "In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 make 5, and you would have to believe it. It was inevitable that they should make that claim sooner or later. The logic of their position demanded it. Not merely the validity of experience, but the very existence of external reality was tacitly denied by their philosophy. The heresy of heresies was common sense." That's one of the reasons I titled this book The Heresy of Heresies, because, well, we live in a world today in which common sense is thought to be crazy. Now, I don't know if you can think of a crazier world than one in which common sense is thought to be crazy, but it seems to me that's the world we live in. Let me read on. In 1945, just a few years before Orwell wrote that common sense would become the heresy of heresies, C.S. Lewis wrote, quote, "What we want is not more little books about Christianity, but more little books by Christians on other subjects with their Christianity latent." While Lewis wrote specifically about little books in the physical sciences, I've tried to take his advice on the topic of metaphysical common sense realism. The connection to Christianity may not be as latent as Lewis wished for, but for a topic that's so closely related to the Christian faith, I simply couldn't help myself. To know the nature of reality which points to the Christian faith as I defend it in this book does not itself require a commitment to the Christian faith or any other faith whatsoever. It does require a commitment to being willing to look and to see what is. Once one grasps what is, one has grasped something in which God and ultimately the Christian faith are indeed latent. In the same essay, Lewis wrote, "Our business is to present that which is timeless, the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, in the particular language of our own age, and that, quote, our teaching must be timeless as its heart and wear, a modern dress," end quote. Those are both from Lewis' God in the Dock, pages 93 through 94. I've attempted that in this book, grasping the nature of existence through common sense experience is a timeless endeavor. Humans have been doing this since they're humans. I defend common sense realism from within the Christian tradition and the language of our own age by showing 4 things. 1. There are good reasons to maintain common sense realism. 2. Common sense realism about the nature of existence can be easily seen from common sense experiences. This is sometimes, a little pause here from the book, this is sometimes what's called epistemic particularism. It's the idea that we gain our knowledge from common sense ordinary particular experiences, not just from like some theory that we generate a priori. So this is, if you're thinking philosophically now about this is not a book that's Kantian or Cartesian. It's much older than that. All right, let me keep reading back to the book. 3. There are alternatives to common sense realism, for example, relativism, materialism, idealism, pragmatism, existentialism. These don't fare so well in comparison to common sense realism. 4. Common sense realism has important implications for human flourishing in religion, politics, economics, and ethics. In other words, in my own view, just pause again here from the book, in my own view, none of these 4 areas can we live well in without common sense realism. Let me repeat those areas: religion, politics, economics, and ethics. All of those, in my view, require common sense realism. Back to the book. As you read this book, please keep in mind that it is written by a generalist philosopher. So that's me. I'm not a scholar of any one narrow particular area. I'm a generalist, but I'm still a philosopher. A generalist philosopher. Not a general and a philosopher. I have no military training. but a generalist philosopher. Nor am I a philosopher of generals. Okay, so generalist means someone who kind of dabbles in all the areas of philosophy. The majority of my 20 years, it's been more than 20 years now, it's almost 25 years now. Actually closer to 30 if you count when I was in grad school. As a professor of philosophy, I've been spent in the classroom, teaching across the philosophical curriculum, from upper division philosophy courses down to from upper division philosophy majors who've gone on to teach at top-tier universities to night classes for working adults trying to finish their degrees. I'm not a scholar of realism or metaphysics or much of anything else, but I am a professional philosophy professor. I hope, at least as Peter Kreeft says, I'm also an amateur philosopher. That is, a lover of philosophy. I'm a philosopher who loves philosophy, wisdom, and reality. At least I aspire to that, which we know through philosophy. So this book is an amateur's philosophy of defense of Christian common sense realism. G.K. Chesterton wrote that Robert Louis Stevenson had, quote, a splendid scorn for the most false and contemptible of maxims, the statement that if a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing well. Stevenson was one of the few philosophers who realized the essential truth that a thing is good in its quality and not in its perfection. Just pause the quote there. We just got to think about that. Let me repeat that. A thing is good in its quality and not only in its perfection. Just think about that for a minute. If music, back to the quotation, if music and wood engraving are really good things, they must be good even to the disciple and the fool. If an invention is marvelous and beneficent, it must be worth beholding, even partially, and through a glass darkly. If a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing badly. I'm going to say that again. This is end quote. That quotation is from Chesterton's Life of Stevenson, his little article he wrote back in the day. Let me repeat what he said again. If a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing badly. Maybe that applies to this video too. I think this is worth doing. Yeah, even if it's done badly. So this notion applies to, I think, everything that we do. To do something well, you have to do it badly to begin with. I enjoy surfing, and well, it took me a while. Some of my friends who surf with me say, "Yep, it's still taking you a while." But this book, I think, is done well, but it may be done badly, but that's okay, because it's still worth doing. So I believe this little book, back to my text now, this is me writing, I believe that this little book on realism was worth writing, even if it was worth writing badly. It was worth writing because the challenges against common sense realism in the academy, in philosophy, in politics, in culture, and in religion. These challenges are legion. They're many. And I use the word legion intentionally there. Back to the text. It's my prayer that this book will return common sense realism from heresy to orthodoxy, to a reasonable view of reality to all who seek what is. Thanks for watching.